Oh, amazing people. Thanks for staying tuned in. Now, this is a continuation on the health talk for why a woman in labor will be suddenly asked to prepare for cesarean section. So if you're yet to see the first one, this is the second episode. So go look at the first part so that you can have a grasp on the concept. Thank you. Thank you very much. So what is the care for a woman diagnosed with an abnormal or obstructed labor? For prolonged or abnormal labor, the exact cause is identified and taken care of. For example, problems with powers, that is, the woman's womb is not contracting enough. If it's that's inadequate contraction, so what is done for the woman is augmentation of labor. Augmentation means to increase. So this basically means to increase the intensity of labor. Some mothers who have experienced augmentation of labor describe it as hot drip. Then sometimes ordinary drip is even enough to give the woman the strength to push out her baby. If the problem is from the passenger, and who did we say the passenger is? The baby, right? If the problem is with the baby, in this case, an assisted vaginal delivery may be employed. For example, using special instruments called forceps or vacuum extractor. And if it fails, emergency cesarean section is done. What if the problem is from the passage, that is the hip bone? When it is too small to allow the baby to pass, there's little anyone can do. So the care is emergency CS. You see why a woman in labor will be asked to prefer CS. So, but what are the problems that can arise from prolonged obstructed labor, what we refer to as complications? On the part of the baby can have asphyxia. This means that the baby's oxygen level reduces. There can be stillbirth, so the baby is born dead. There can be brain damage. There can be trauma or meconium aspiration. Meconium is the waste a baby passes inside the womb. So meconium aspiration means that the baby takes in this waste and it can get to the baby's lungs or inside its body. And when this happens, it is dangerous, very dangerous. Then, of course, neonatal death. The baby may die some days after being born. On the side of the mother, the following complications can be seen. Maternal exhaustion. This is when a woman in labor tells you she's tired and she cannot continue or she cannot push out her baby. There can be uterine rupture. Literally, the uterus tears open. And it is a terrible emergency and should not be allowed to happen, except if a woman goes to a TBA home or to an untrained personnel. In fact, they don't even know that the uterus has ruptured. They just know that the woman probably bleeds to death or something. Then there can be injury to the genital tract. There can be infections inside the uterus, intrauterine infections. There can be uterine atony and postpartum hemorrhage. The uterus will not contract after delivery and the woman will bleed severely. There's a concise health talk on postpartum hemorrhage on my channel. Do check it out. A woman can also develop stress incontinence. That is, she leaks urine when she coughs after delivery or when she tries to do something strong. Then a woman can also die from obstructed labor. But by far, the most severe and distressing long-term complication following obstructed labor is called obstetric fistula. Fistula means a hole. This hole may form between the bladder and the vagina or between the rectum and the vagina. Please, there's a separate health talk on VVF. You're going to look at it and understand how this hole is formed because it's a very critical problem. Now, prevention of obstructed long and prolonged labor can be either by the skilled birth attendant, who is a doctor or a midwife, by the use of pathograph during monitoring of labor. Pathograph is just a chart to record the activities and the status of the mother and the baby during labor. Then, of course, we all have roles to play, you and I, in the prevention of obstructed labor and their complications. So the following are the things we can do on our own. Number one is good antenatal care. With good antenatal care, risk factors are identified and taken care of. From just looking at a woman, a skilled birth attendant can easily identify those things that may lead to an abnormal or obstructed labor, and then appropriate care is given to prevent that from happening. For some mothers, the moment a doctor tells them CS is the safest mode of delivery for them and their babies, they smile and that's it. They go to a church or a TBA home for some supernatural things to happen. I've seen mothers brought in dead because they went to some of these places. Do you think God is not powerful enough to save them there? No. On the contrary, God is surprised that He has provided help for you and you choose to ignore the help. Yes, doctors and midwives are there as your help. Please, do not perish for lack of knowledge. CS is a technique to help those who can't deliver vaginally. It has helped so many families to still have their mothers alive. And it will continue to help. And it can equally help you. So please, Go for CS if that is what is safe for you. Number 2 way to prevent this from happening is good child nutrition to help the girl child grow to her maximum potential. When a girl is growing with adequate nutrition and care, she attains adequate hip development and growth and an overall growth in height, and she's well built to perform the role of childbearing. But in some regions of the world, food taboos against the girl child are practiced, where the girl child eats last or eats small meats. Just ensure that the male child eats the lion's share because he's the man. This is dangerous because if that girl child is stunted in height, she doesn't grow well, and then she has inadequate hip bone, what we call contracted pelvis as a result of undernutrition has occurred. And this goes on to affect her ability to comfortably deliver babies in future. And this is like shooting oneself in the leg. You give preference to the male child and neglect the female child. But you need the neglected female child to produce well-built babies, both males and females, later in life. How can that happen? So please say no to girl child deprivation and don't turn blind eyes to it. If you see that happening around you, please speak up. So feed your child well, male and female alike. There's an Igbo adage that comes to mind now. It says, "Nwa bo nwa." It literally means a child is a child, irrespective of the gender, health condition, looks, or appearance. Care for your children. They're all human beings with potentials, created by the same God, so they all deserve to be cared for, irrespective of their gender, whether male or female. Number 3 thing we can do is very closely related to child nutrition, and that is girl child labor. The male child goes to school and the sister goes to the farm to work, or goes to hawk on the street or the marketplace, or even to babysit as a house help, a baby taking care of another baby. This is another practice in some parts of the world that grossly affects the quality of life a girl child lives. First, the stress she goes through overwhelms her. She probably does not have enough to give her developing organs and her young bones to meet the minimum requirements for her growth. And then she's made to carry very heavy things for long distances. And at the long run, she's somewhere below average height. And as a full-grown woman, her body does not seem to be prepared for her reproductive roles. And a child who starts working to provide for herself and her adult parents obviously stays out of formal education, and she's not empowered. No education, no skills, no sustainable work, no stable income. She's married off, but she's undernourished, or even in starvation. So it's like a vicious circle. And if the circle is not broken, it continues over time. And in some areas, it's a way of life for some people. The girl child does not go to school, she just marries off and all that. Please, the girl child deserves a quality life. She didn't commit any crime by being born a female. Give your children equal care and exposure irrespective of their gender. Please, parents, decision makers, stakeholders, influencers, everyone listening to me, make the education of a girl child a priority. If she's educated, she's empowered for life. She will take the right decision, do the right thing, protect her own children, and give a generational liberation to her offsprings. Remember the story of Dr. Terare Trent. Dr. Terare Trent is a Zimbabwean woman who was deprived of education by her father because she's a woman, but sent her brother to go to school and married her off instead at age 11 in exchange for a cow. But she later achieved her dream of getting education, and through her, that same school her brother was sent to was rebuilt with a donation of $1.5 million by the great Oprah Winfrey, and that has given thousands of children in Zimbabwe education. If you give a girl child education, she will do exploits because there's no limit to the extent of her reach. Now, if you're giving your child the best care and you notice that that child is not growing well, please go to the pediatrician, the doctor that takes care of children before it's too late, especially for a female child, because she has limited time before her growth plate will fuse and she won't grow again. I decided to just say this quickly, but once we get to the child health care series of our health talk, we'll have all these tips laid bare for us and we'll know what to do when we see such situations. Okay. The number 4 thing we can do to prevent prolonged obstructed labor is health education and public enlightenment, like what we are doing now through this channel, to tell everyone out there and also to our amazing mothers that help exists and that such help can be used without being guilt-tripped of how you're not a Hebrew woman and so on. You know all the myths about cesarean section. Just get to watch the health talk on cesarean section. So don't listen to anyone who discourages you from getting the help that you need. Number 5 is economic empowerment for everyone. This is very important because if every household has a stable income, everyone can comfortably afford the best care there is for a woman during childbirth. Again, a woman that's not educated is less likely to get a good job, and she suffers so much deprivation. It is like there's no end to her hardship, as opposed to if she was educated. So far, we have seen that both maternal and the child health can be grossly impacted by prolonged obstructed labor, and that there are things we can do to prevent them. So please, let us play all the roles that we can do. Share this health talk. You're my dearly beloved, and I cherish you so much. So please, together, let us help save our mothers and help them stay alive while they perform their reproductive roles. Stay tuned, and guess what? There's a topic you want to know about, and that is what is coming next. Subscribe and click on the notification bell for subsequent uploads, and do well to connect with me. My Instagram and Twitter handle is @juliana.ome. Thank you very much, and see you again.